On today's show, how are we going to guard the Denver Nuggets? We're a great defensive team. The Denver Nuggets are a great offensive team with the best player in the world. How are the Clippers going to guard some of their most potent actions? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA. Been a Clipper fan for 20 years. Been following the Clippers, or been covering the Clippers for 5 years on my own personal YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, and Locked On Clippers for 3 right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to all of those channels. Make sure you follow the Locked On Clippers podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, sign up for the Locked On Clippers newsletter at lockedondaily.com. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get great deals last minute on tickets. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how we're going to guard the Nuggets. Now, you might be wondering, Dime, it's a late episode, man. Like, come on. I was waiting all day on Thursday for one. I'm also going to be coming out with a Friday episode. Might be with a guest, might not be. But I'll definitely be coming out with a Friday episode. You'll still get 5 episodes in the week. But the reason why I waited on this one is because I wanted to really think about it. I also had club practice during the middle of the day, so it would have been earlier. But I wanted to really think about it. How we are going to guard some of the most signature Denver Nuggets bread and butter actions. The Jokic post up, the Jamal Murray-Jokic pick and pop, and of course, how we are going to limit their transition opportunities. So let's begin. And this is going to be one of my more detailed X's and O's kind of episodes because I feel like I've been giving a lot of, opinions and stuff like that. But we're going to get a little more technical here. So please let me know in the comments or if you're, however you interact with me, if I did a decent enough job explaining and trying to make you visualize what I'm saying out there. Okay. So let's begin. Now, in the NBA, teams 99% of the time, that's I don't have that stat off the top of my head, but just going by the eye test, play man-to-man defense. Man-to-man defense. Now, you can play a zone in the NBA, but you can't technically camp your big man in the paint in a zone the way you can in college or at other levels or in FIBA because of the defensive 3-second violation. So you have to play hokey pokey, 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of deal if you're playing a zone. Most teams only in the NBA, not even most teams, some teams go to zone in stretches, but primarily it's a man-to-man league, right? So as far as the starting lineup, I'm assuming, and it's been a couple of different ones for the Nuggets all year, I'm assuming it's going to be the all-reliable foursome of Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon. The 5th guy, in my opinion, will be Christian Braun. Now, for us, I believe it's going to be, and if you look at the game started, the top 5 players are Zoo, Harden, Norm, Chris Dunn, and Derrick Jones Jr. with Kawhi Leonard right behind. Of course, you're going to probably pick one of Chris Dunn or Derrick Jones Jr., which we've been doing since Kawhi came back. And I think it's going to be Chris Dunn, just given how the years ended and that he's been the guy coming off the bench. As far as the Denver Nuggets, if we look at their numbers when it comes to the starts in the season, it goes as follows: MPJ, Christian Braun, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon. So Westbrook being their 6th man. Now, when you look at that starting lineup, let's look at who we think that the Nuggets are going to have guarding our players to begin games. Now, it's a switch 1 through 4 league, which means that for those that don't know what that means, when a screen is set by a player on the Denver Nuggets not named Nikola Jokic, for a player handling the ball that's not named Nikola Jokic, because typically, even though the Denver Nuggets run a lot of the inverted pick and rolls, which is a big man getting screened by a smaller person, which in actuality, in the normal pick and rolls, you have a guard with a big man who's a big body setting the screen. The most iconic duo in the history of basketball, John Stockton, Karl Malone. Even though I can't stand the Utah Jazz, even me who didn't grow up watching them knows that when it comes to pick and roll tandems, there is no one better in the history of the game than John Stockton and Karl Malone. Now, when it comes to guarding regular pick and rolls, what we have in the NBA now is a lot of switching, which is the guy that's guarding the screener switches onto the guy that's guarding the ball. If you are a point guard through power forward in today's league, 1 through 4, most teams, and that is why people start, for people that are wondering, why don't we have the traditional power forwards anymore? The Elton Brands, the Zach Randolphs, those kind of guys. Well, post game isn't the same emphasis as today. Post game is not the emphasis of the game like the way it was when they grew up. So we don't have guys that are that solid in the post, in the mid-range, those kind of guys. But we do it for one offensive reason, to have them shoot threes and space the floor. A smaller guy, more of like a small forward kind of guy, like a Tobias Harris, Jason Tatum. I mean, Kawhi Leonard plays power forward for us. And when he came in the league, he was not playing power forward. I can promise you that. Nicholas Batum actually has a great quote about that, about guarding fives then versus now. Point being, you have like a bigger wing, but it's like a small forward now playing the 4 because 1, they can shoot threes, which spaces the floor for everyone else, and 2, because they can switch onto your point guard, and it's a point guard driven league right now with a lot of the really dangerous players in pick and rolls being your point guard. So when mostly every team switches 1 through 4, right? How are we going to guard them? Well, Kawhi Leonard will likely be, let's look at who's important. Zoo is going to be guarding Jokic. And then you're going to have Chris Dunn guarding Jamal Murray. Kawhi Leonard on, honestly, I think there's a chance that you see him guarding. You know what? I'm going to say Aaron Gordon. I was going to say there's a chance you could see him guarding MPJ. But I'm going to go with Aaron Gordon. And then James Harden guarding Michael Porter Jr., and then Norman Powell guarding Christian Brown. But you could even put Norm on MPJ and then Harden on Christian Brown. I don't think it makes much of a difference there. But again, in a switch 1 through 4 scheme, that means you can choose who sets the screen and who switches on you. So if you're the Nuggets and you have Jamal Murray with the ball in his hands, if you want to run an isolation, you're going to try to get James Harden switched on you or Norman Powell. That's the 2 guys they're going to target. So it's going to be an interesting series to see if they can hold their own. I think James Harden one-on-one, honestly, I don't have too many worries about against a guard like Jamal Murray. He's not the quickest in the world. He's very crafty, good handle. But I think James will be able to do a pretty good job bodying up with him. Norm, we'll see. I'm a little concerned about him at times. With Harden, it's more his off-ball defense and his transition defense. Not as much when he tries to get, because there's the level of, I'm taking it personal when someone tries to, attack you and pick and roll. And I think Harden can take the challenge there a decent amount with Murray. But how are we going to guard the Jokic post-up? I think the key is when it's against Zoo and they attack Zoo one-on-one, Zoo's just got to try his best to guard without fouling. And that's really easier said than done. But you got to guard without fouling while still being physical, which is the hardest balance in today's NBA. And Jokic is going to try to flail. He's going to try to do all his tricks to try to get fouls. Look, for whatever reason, league emphasis, league direction, they are friendlier with perimeter players when it comes to fouls, landing space, elbow touch, finger touch, anything, compared to big guys these days who will get shoved and two-hand pushed. And we see that in the case of Zoo versus how Harden and Norman Powell get called for fouls, or gets fouls called for them. However, there is a skill to it that Harden and Norm have, and guys like Zoo, Paul George don't have. But I still think it's unfair how big men get treated. Hopefully that continues in the sense that we get to be physical with Jokic. Because here's the thing. If Jokic gets Zubats in foul trouble, that is where we're going to struggle. And coming up, I'm going to be talking... so to finish off, though, we need to stay home. I think we don't let anyone else really beat us. If Aaron Gordon... I know he's been shooting better, but if Aaron Gordon is on the perimeter, I think it's worth sagging in a bit and dropping a bit to Jokic on the ball. Not fully committing in a double, but just being ready for the kick out. Just because we want to see Aaron Gordon let it fly without hesitation, in addition to his percentages, before we start really respecting him and staying glued to him or something, I would still do it. Now, overall, the premise is to stay home, let Jokic beat you, and not let anybody else going. That's with the post up with Zoo. Now, that could be a very suicidal strategy given who Jokic is offensively, but Zoo did hold Jokic to one of the worst shooting games, if not the worst shooting game, I think at the time it was, of his career, 9 for 32 last year in December. Last season, but that doesn't really matter in this big picture. I just think Zoo's a good guy to guard Jokic in terms of his size and physicality, and he's a solid post defender. But coming up, going to be talking about what we do if Zoo's in foul trouble and how we guard the famous Murray-Jokic pick and roll. I got to tell you a little something about Skims. When I found out that Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, whether it be fit, comfort, or just finding what's right for me. I had to, really think about what kind of underwear I'm gonna get now that all my underwear burned in the fire. So I'm just like, honestly, like I didn't know Skims made underwear for men, and I tried it, and I'm hooked. These are perfect for my active lifestyle because they move with me, they don't lose their shape, and they stay in place all day. And I'm coaching practices 4 days a week. I like to walk around. I like to be active. So whether I'm just working out, coaching the kids, running errands, playing myself, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/lockedonnba and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. I got to tell you a little something about Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get great deals last minute on tickets, and there's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. I've had the blessing to go to so many playoff games, and I kid you not, it's not just some of my best memories as a sports fan, they are some of my best memories as a human being. And with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, and Clipper Nation, they are pretty affordable. So go check out Game Time, see what kind of deals they have. I bet you can come to the game for nothing relative to other playoff teams, especially the one, in downtown. Even when demand is sky high, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Clipper Nation. Now, as far as how we're guarding them, I already explained what I think we're going to do. I'm pretty okay with James Harden guarding Christian Brown or MPJ. Of course, I think, they both present their different challenges. Christian Brown's going to cut to the basket a lot. MPJ's going to run around screens. So, I would say Harden maybe around the basket, getting his hands involved in potential Jokic passes. So maybe him guarding Christian Brown and having Norm guarding MPJ. I truly don't think it makes that much of a difference. I don't think the Nuggets going to look to MPJ as a go-to guy, which to me is one of the biggest flaws in MPJ, being that he can shoot the ball at that size, and he's just kind of a spot-up shooter, movement shooter. I think it's just limits him as a player. I don't know if that's a Nuggets thing or he's not improving. I mean, he clearly is not a great ball handler, but I think if you get him the ball in the right areas, he would be able to turn and shoot over guys and stuff like that. But whatever, we don't want MPJ unlocking anything new in this series, do we? Now, in terms of the post-up, as I said, Zubac's guarding it straight up. We got to be solid with it. Stay home on everybody else. If Aaron Gordon's at the three-point line, you can bring whoever's guarding Aaron Gordon down, getting ready to help. But if Aaron Gordon's in the dunker spot, you kind of have to stay attached. And that's what they're going to often do, is have Aaron Gordon right around the basket. So if you help around the rim, Jokic is just throwing that lob. And if you just throw it anywhere in that stadium, Aaron Gordon's going to go up and get it. So you kind of have to, if you're going to double using Aaron Gordon's man, someone's going to have to rotate and take Aaron Gordon away immediately and force that skip pass to the opposite side. That's what you want to do. We could try to do that, but I still stand by. If it's Zubats, stay home. If Aaron Gordon's in the dunker spot, just stay home and let Zubats go out without fouling. Make Jokic make a tough two. That'll be, we'll die with that. Because at the end of the day, other guys won't get in rhythm. If he scores 50 and there's no passing going on, that's going to limit what the Nuggets do. Now, if Zoo gets in foul trouble, this is where we have to be careful. I say the only three guys that you can put on Jokic if Zoo gets in foul trouble are Nicholas Batum, Ben Simmons, and Kawhi Leonard. Now, if you think, as a Nuggets fan or a Jokic fan from Serbia listening to this, and you think, you just laughed at me and said, you really think those three stand a chance of guarding Jokic? Absolutely not. I think that they're a guy, though, to take him as the primary assignment and then get a double team. So then, because in a small ball situation, we only have guys that are, 6'10 and under. Kawhi, Nico, Derek, Ben, these kind of guys. So we have speed. So what we have to do is we have to double Jokic, because I saw the Lakers do it to perfection with Rui Hachimura, with LeBron, Dorian Finney-Smith. I saw him do it to perfection. That was the last full Nuggets game I watched. And yeah, I'm sorry, Nuggets fans, I haven't watched more of your games in the end of the season. House fire, moving in. It's been tough. But anyway, I'm doing some deep dives right now before the playoffs on every team. But here's what I'll say. We double and just start rotating. And here's the thing. The Denver Nuggets, if we're playing a small ball lineup, it usually will mean, I think, that their death lineup won't be in. So you're going to have a Westbrook in there, maybe Peyton Watson. That's where now we can rotate and funnel them into eventually passing the ball to Westbrook. So, let me give an example. And especially when you have Aaron Gordon and Westbrook in together, kind of occupying the paint with Jokic posting up, it can get a little clunky. So let's just use a hypothetical and say they have Murray, MPJ, and Brown with Westbrook and Jokic, right? So Westbrook in this case would probably be in the dunker spot. So you'd have to stay home and still kind of defend it the same way. But if you have Aaron Gordon, I messed up on the hypothetical. Let's take MPJ out and replace it with Aaron Gordon. So essentially you have the starters of the Nuggets with Westbrook in for MPJ, and you have Aaron Gordon in that dunker spot. Now you absolutely double and leave Westbrook open until they can pass the ball to him. That's what we should do. You know what I'm saying? Force Westbrook to come towards the ball. Then we can rotate easier. It's no problem. So that's what we could do. We could double Jokic and rotate off of Russ's man. Essentially bring Russ's man to double, or just bring the double one pass over, and then we rotate one pass away each guy until they swing it all the way across to Westbrook being the open man. So that's what I would do. And you can replace Westbrook with Peyton Watson. So that's what I would do when we're in foul trouble with Wazoo. Now, guarding the pick and roll, the Jokic-Murray pick and roll, that is one of the hardest actions to guard in the NBA. The pick and pop, the Murray-Jokic two-man game. And honestly, I've talked too much already, so in the last segment, I'm going to be talking about how we're going to guard that most lethal action and the transition aspect. I'm going to be talking about it coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV locked on to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. All right. Clippers Nuggets getting set. to tip off game 1 Saturday. Apparently, there's going to be a viewing party at Intuit. I will be there. And it's just an awesome opportunity to be with Clipper fans for every single game, which is something that I've never envisioned. Games 1 and 2, I'll be at the viewing party. Games 3 and 4, I'll be there. And then hopefully, if we haven't swept them, we'll see after that. But man, I'm so excited for that. It gives me an opportunity to get content and post-game interviews after every single game. So if you're at the viewing parties, definitely pull up. It's so much fun. Let's get drunk. Let's watch some Clippers playoff basketball together. Let's get hype when we win. And then let's come on and talk after the game. That'll be great. But anyway, let's talk about how we're going to guard these guys in their pick and roll. So the Clippers this season, we're a drop coverage team, which means that we have our big man. So remember when I was talking about switching 1 through 4? Teams know that other teams are going to switch 1 through 4. So when let's say Jamal Murray has the ball. He's going to ask the guy to set the screen that he wants, whose man he wants guarding him. So let's say he has Chris Dunn on him. He doesn't want to go against Chris Dunn one-on-one. He's looking at, who's James Harden or Norman Powell guarding? Let's have their guy come set me a screen. So now they're going to switch because we know they're going to do that, right? It's going to be the same thing for us with them. James Harden's going to be like, yo, Jamal, come over here. Like, let's bring Chris Dunn over here to set me a screen. And a lot of times what teams end up doing is they'd rather double Harden and just make Chris Dunn do something. So that's where Chris Dunn gets in that short roll. So we're going to see if they're going to be willing to do that. I think they could die even worse with letting Chris Dunn make plays out of the short roll with Zubats being in the dunker spot and then Kawhi and Norm on either side. You have to let Chris Dunn shoot, but he's been pretty good with that little runner. You know what I'm saying? It's just the open threes that he hasn't been great with. So blitzing Harden or throwing 2 at Harden on the ball because you don't want to switch Jamal Murray onto him, that might be dangerous. And the thing is, Harden can be his worst enemy sometimes when it comes to playing the ISO game and dribbling, and then he takes a step back and he's off. It can be really, really tough process in terms of the ball not moving and a lot of standing around and bad transition defense all in one. So James has to be very deliberate, in my opinion, in this series of like when you get these guys, if they give you the privilege of having MPJ and Murray switched onto you, because they have a tendency to do that, just continuing to let Jamal Murray and MPJ guard elite players. James Harden, blow by city. Just get 2 feet in the paint, get to that runner. I would rather have James Harden miss 4 or 5 straight of those open floaters in a row than the step back 3 because it's forcing the guy that's guarding him to sit down in a stance and guard instead of just putting a hand up. I mean, when he hits you with the step back 3, you still have to be in a stance because you have to be careful for him to get by you. But there are a lot of guys, and Draymond Green revealed it, but it's just traditional basketball strategy. You will take even a James Harden or Kevin Durant, who's a great three-point shooter with a hand in his face, taking the threes with a hand in his face as opposed to getting around you. Because then when Harden gets around you, someone else has to help. And that a lot of times leaves Ivica Zubats open for that dunk. So even if Harden has missed 5 floaters in a row, how many of those floaters did we get an offensive rebound on? That's relevant. I mean, not all misses are created the same. So I want James Harden to attack Jamal Murray, attack MPJ, and go at them. If you're the Nuggets, you're going to go at Harden and Norm. And we just got to have Norm and Harden stand their ground. If it becomes a problem, then we're going to have to do the same thing I just said. Show 2 on the ball with Murray and recover. But I have confidence. I have more confidence that we can offer resistance that they cannot. We can offer much more resistance on Jamal Murray than they can offer on Harden. I truly believe that. And so when I talk about the pick and roll, it's about Jokic being involved in the action. So we're a drop coverage heavy team. Do you play drop coverage against the Nuggets? Because Jamal Murray has a great in-between game. And for those wondering what drop coverage is, it's when the screen is set and your big man drops towards the basket, right? And for a second, he's kind of playing in the middle. He steps towards the ball a bit. So he's playing the guy with the ball and the roller at the same time. Usually, there'll be a guy, they call it the low man, rotating over to take away Zubats' man in this case for a split second until he can recover and forcing the long pass because you have to leave someone open because once a screen is set, if you're going over the screen, that means that somebody has a lane to the basket. So in that case, somebody has to help, which means that we are now as a defense, we're in rotation, right? So if it's a Zubats, should he play drop against this team? Murray is a really good in-between game guy, but we have really great screen navigators that can make it tough for him. But if Jokic catches the ball in the paint the same way Zubats does, it can be an issue. He has that touch, he has that floater. So look, there are definitely a lot more teams that our drop coverage will work well against than these guys. This is going to be tough. However, I still think if Jokic is rolling, like not rolling like he's playing great, like I mean rolling to the basket, we should still have Zoo and drop. And I just think we got to get ready to rotate. Just be ready to get that Jokic is going to get the ball. When Murray has the ball and running pick and roll with Jokic, make them pass it to somebody that's not named Jokic. So get the ball out of their two hands, and now we're rotating. I'm okay with any result. Just make sure we take that away. But here's the most lethal action to me in the game is the Jokic Murray pick and pop. Because if Zoo drops, you're leaving Jokic wide open for three, and he's shooting 42% this year on 5 attempts a night. So that's pick your poison right there. That's poison. And here's the thing. The way you can try to take that away is you can switch, but then you're having Jokic against Chris Dunn and then Murray against Zubats. And I am not really okay with that because what's usually going to happen is if you have Jokic against Chris Dunn, we're going to double team. And then now we're in rotation, and now we're kind of going against what we want, which is to limit the other guys and make Jokic beat us. So I don't know about switching. What I would do personally, and we'll see, maybe a little risky, maybe the rotations aren't crisp enough. I think our rotations and our off-ball defense is so good that we can get away with this. Zeus still plays drop coverage, lets Murray, just prevents Murray from doing anything. We don't want to let Murray get hot. If we let Murray start torching us, then it's a whole different series. So I honestly think we need to really prevent Murray from getting off. If we prevent Murray from getting off, I truly don't think Jokic, MPJ, and friends are going to beat us. It's all about Murray. It's really all about freaking Murray. So we take away Murray. We have Zoo in drop coverage. Our screen navigator and Chris Dunn, whoever it is, gets over it and hustles. And we're just ready to rotate to Jokic on the pick and pop, on that pass back. Just leave your man and go rotate to Jokic. Okay, if they pass and the skip pass to Gordon or to MPJ, we get out there, we run them off the line, and now we're back in scramble mode. But we absolutely rotate to Jokic. And there's going to be a split. And when Jokic gets the ball, I still believe, see, the thing is, Zubats can't really leave his man. Because if Zoo's in drop coverage, right? Actually, Zoo can leave his. Zoo's going to have to he's going to have to make a decision. He's probably going to have to go to the guy that just rotated to Jokic. He's going to probably have to go to that guy, which still leaves us in a situation where Jokic is against a mismatch. But hopefully we'll have time to switch that back. I think that's the move, is just have that guy rotate and make Jokic pass to that whoever it is. And then we try to rotate back. It's kind of the same consequence if you think about it. But it's just hard. It's hard to visualize all this. It's hard to really make sense of it all. All I know is this. The way we're really going to get killed in this series is transition. And how we prevent that is by scoring the basketball. That obviously prevents you from being vulnerable in transition, but taking care of the ball. Ty Lue said it at shoot around on Thursday or practice on Thursday. Taking care of the ball. We cannot turn the ball over. And a lot of that's on Harden. And Kawhi. Those two mainly. We can't get careless. And you know that Jokic is going to probably come up to the level of the screen. So make sure we're getting the ball over his outstretched arm and not necessarily rushing it too much. We know that that's likely coming. Because if they play drop, I think Harden's going to fry them to death. I honestly do. But transition is where we're vulnerable. They don't love to play fast, but if we turn the ball over, they will play fast. And that altitude is going to be a bitch. It's going to be bad. You know what I'm saying? We need to get back. We need to prevent them from getting easy buckets by turning the ball over. So we have to take care of it. And that's a lot of it on Harden and Kawhi. But the pick and roll one is really, the pick and pop conversation is very interesting because here's the way you can guard it, right? There's drop. You can hedge/blitz, which is kind of the same thing nowadays with the spacing, is throwing 2 on the ball, and then you get into the 4-on-3. You do not want to let Jokic get into a 4-on-3. That is the most suicidal thing you can do. Murray is not more dangerous than Jokic. When it's a guard that's more dangerous than the rolling big man, that's when you blitz, like Luka. So we don't want to, that's completely out of the question. We do not blitz Murray. It's either we drop and leave Jokic open for 3, which is a horrible idea. So it's either we drop and rotate or we switch. Either scenario leaves us with Jokic against a smaller guy. However, Chris Dunn being that smaller guy is a little bit of a problem. Whereas, let's say Chris Dunn's guarding Murray. They set that screen. Zubats drops, right? So we're taking away Murray. Murray throws it back to Jokic. Zubats is not going to have enough time to get back there. Jokic can be open for three. So we need someone to rotate. And that guy is going to be either Harden, Kawhi, or Norm. And they're all stronger. If it's Norm, then we got a double team. But you see, now they're working later in the shot clock, so it's a little different. But if it's Kawhi, I say we just leave it. Let Zubats is going to have to, probably rotate to Aaron Gordon because Kawhi's hypothetically just come off Aaron Gordon. If I definitely got too technical in this episode. Definitely, wasn't able to visualize this well. But if you can picture what I'm seeing, then credit to you. But that's going to be a dilemma. And if I had more time, I'd talk about one of the other most dangerous actions, which is the inverted pick and roll and having Murray. If I was going to draw it out or use play examples, but Murray setting the screen for Jokic, that's going to be honestly when that happens. I think Zoo's just got to go underneath the screen. And one thing I think Zoo has to be very careful is when Jokic catches the ball in the high post. I say shade him to it, let him go left a little bit. And take a step back, but not too far back. Because what teams will do sometimes with a Draymond, for example, is they'll take 5 steps back because they know that he wants to pass, but you're giving him space to pass and shoot. And they know in Draymond's case, he won't shoot. Jokic, he will. But Jokic doesn't want to fiend the jump shot. So sometimes Zoo will take 2-3 steps back and he won't look at it. But the problem is he'll do the dribble handoff with Murray and then Murray's coming into space. So we need to be up on him a little bit. I'd say a step away, just ready to, because if Jokic takes a contested 18-footer, we're by all means living with that, by all means. But he needs to be contested. It can't be wide open, and we need to be ready for the dribble handoff. I think we still got to try to, not, because what Jokic loves to do is that little fake handoff, and he spins over his left shoulder, go right. We need to have him go left if he wants to turn that way. So shade him, kind of sit on his, when he's backing down, sit on his left hand a bit. Sit on his left shoulder a bit and take a step back, get ready for him to turn. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content. And of course, Locked On Clippers, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. So much to talk about. There was the other play type was that little back screen they run with Jamal Murray saying the back screen for Aaron Gordon. They run some great actions. But we'll talk about everything even more on Friday. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers.